Okay, I'm going to explain the pop culture encyclopedia assignment. Pop culture just means anything that is popular in our culture. And the encyclopedia part means an encyclopedia is like a bunch of like informative text all gathered together into one book. And so you can look it up and see, like, learn about various topics in this encyclopedia. So, what we're going to do is we're going to put together all of your essays into one thing. And then if somebody read it, they would know what was popular this year. All right. So, you guys are going to start off by making a PowerPoint. You need to choose a topic for your PowerPoint. You can choose any of these things: music, famous people or influential people, movies, news, books. You can even choose video games. Just make sure whatever topic you choose, you do need to make sure that it has enough information to research. Last year, when we did this, there were a lot of people who um, chose topics that didn't have a lot of research, so they got stuck. This PowerPoint has a bunch of sample questions for you guys, depending on which topic you choose to research. So I'll let you guys go through that on your own. Here are some like possibilities of things that you guys could pick. You could write about Taylor Swift. You could write about Saturday Night Live. You could write about different popular books. You could write about Kanye West. You can write about Ellen DeGeneres. You can write about the Avengers. You can write about Spider-Man specifically. You could write about COVID-19, anything that you feel like is a big event from this year or the last couple years. Okay, so your slideshow needs to have at least 5 slides. The first slide, you need to have your topic and your name. Then you need to have 3 informative slides, which we'll look at an example of that in just a second. Then you need to have at least 1 sources slide where you're just telling me you got your information. Minimum of 3 sources, please. Make sure you are including some pictures that are relevant to your topic. Try and use bullet points. Don't just copy and paste things, and don't write one giant paragraph. Use bullet points on PowerPoint presentations. You are going to be presenting this to just a small group of people in class. You won't have to get up in front of the whole class. And then you need to make sure that your slideshow is set up with text structures. If you missed the day that we went over text structures in class, make sure you get on Canvas and go through the different text structures so that you know what we are talking about when we say text structures. It is going to be very important in this essay. I'm going to show you my example PowerPoint because that's the one that I'm most familiar with. So this is my presentation on Midnight Sun, which is the last book in the Twilight series. So you can see I've got my topic right here, and then I've got my name, and then I've got a picture of the cover of the book. You'll notice in my 3 informative slides that I have a question up at the top, and then I have over here in this corner my text structure that I'm using. So question and text structure are required. And then here's all the research that I did about this question. So it's these questions are really going to help you organize your PowerPoint and make sure that you're keeping all the questions separate. So this is my next one. Notice I've got my question up here and all my research down here. And my text structure is up here. Oops. My text structure is up here, and it is actually cause and effect for this one. So I just want you to notice that I am using a different text structure for, go back. I am using a different text structure for each one. So I'm using description for the first one, cause and effect for the second, and then here's my question for the third, and I'm using chronological order for this one. And then here's my sources slide. I have 4, the minimum is 3. So make sure you're just copying and pasting any sources that you are using onto this sources slide. I'm just going to kind of quickly go through how I'm using my text structure to organize this one. So my book that I did my presentation about And yours doesn't have to be on a book. Remember, it can be on a movie, video game, celebrity, music, whatever you want it to be about. I just chose a book because obviously I love books. That's why I teach language arts. Okay, so my question for this slide was, how did the Twilight series change young adult fiction? So I'm using cause and effect on this one. I'm going to talk about Twilight being really popular, so that's my cause. And then the effect that had was a ton of new young adult fiction got published. So I want to make sure that I'm putting things on my slide to answer this question. So I have how did the Twilight series change young adult fiction? Twilight sold 100 million copies from 2005 to 2009, and then Midnight Sun sold 1 million copies just in the first week. So obviously, Twilight is really popular, and a lot of authors were reading Twilight when they were young, and now they're growing up and writing books. And so it has really made adults reading young adult fiction a lot more popular, and a lot of writers are writing to that right now. So Twilight is insanely popular still to this day. It also made a lot of vampire books get published. That's another change in YA fiction. And it also made love triangles super popular. Like The Hunger Games has a love triangle because it was so popular in Twilight. So you can see that I've really made sure to thoroughly answer this question: how did the Twilight series change young adult fiction? So you guys are actually going to open up on Canvas. There is an assignment that'll tell you to make a PowerPoint. So if you open that up, you will have this copy. So go ahead and click on this, open it in a new tab. And it'll just have your instructions on here. And so you can remind yourself and then go through and make sure you are filling all of this out. The teacher examples are also linked down here if you need them. And the questions will be linked on Canvas. So you can go through and look at the questions on Canvas, but make sure you go through and complete this PowerPoint because it will really help us later on in our essay.